Chosen one. Listen carefully. Heaven is not distant. Right now, the hosts of angels, who usually move like waves of fire in constant worship, have fallen still. Their songs are hushed. Their eyes are fixed on you. They watch the weight of your decision, and they could hardly believe it. When so many fall to compromise, you stood. When so many chase comfort, you embraced the narrow road, and the heavens themselves were shaken by your choice. You may think no one noticed. You may believe your prayers whispered in the night were just words vanishing into the ceiling, but the truth is different. In the unseen realm, your yes was louder than thunder, clearer than the sound of a trumpet. Angels looked upon one another with awe. Why? Because you chose obedience when everything in your flesh wanted rebellion. You resisted when surrender to sin seemed easier, and that choice became a blaze of light against the backdrop of darkness. Think of it like this. Imagine a lantern lit on a stormy shore. The sea rages. The wind screams. The night is black, but one lantern shines, and sailors far out on the water suddenly know the way. That is what your choice became, a beacon not only for yourself, but for generations after you. Do you understand the magnitude of this moment? You are not ordinary. You are not overlooked. You are like a hidden diamond pulled out of the earth's depths, covered in dust for years. But when revealed, impossible to ignore. Heaven knows your name. Hell fears it. The angels saw the nights you wrestled with despair, when your tears fell like rivers and you whispered, "I still choose God." Those moments felt small to you, but they thundered in the unseen. The hosts of heaven remembered the pride of Lucifer, the fall of Adam, the unbelief of Israel, and then they looked at you, fragile yet faithful, weak yet unyielding, and they were stunned. The ancient words recorded in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, still echo today. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will know God's will, good, pleasing, perfect. Your refusal to conform, your courage to walk the other way, became the very proof that God's Spirit is alive within you. And the angels marveled at how brightly you shone in a crooked generation. Chosen one. Do not belittle your decision. Do not despise the lonely nights when no one applauded you, but you still said yes. Those moments became seeds planted in eternal soil, and heaven has already recorded them. Maybe right now you are still asking yourself, did it really matter? Yes. The throne room does not exaggerate. The angels do not pause without reason. If heaven recorded it, if angels marveled at it, then it mattered beyond what you can yet see. And here you are now listening, breathing, marked by destiny. You might feel weak, but your weakness itself has become a testimony. It tells every demon, every principality, that even in fragile flesh, God's chosen ones can rise. You are living proof that light cannot be extinguished. If this truth pierces your spirit, let me invite you to respond. Press the like button right now as a sign that you align yourself with the steps God has ordered. Share this with someone who is standing at a similar crossroads, because their decision might be the next to shock the angels. And in the comments, type the number 12, a prophetic echo of Romans 12:2, that you believe your mind is being renewed and your steps are being established. Finally, subscribe to stay connected. Because chosen ones do not walk alone. They walk as a family under heaven's gaze. Remember this, the angels are not blind. They saw your choice. They still speak of it. And the story of your yes has already been woven into the eternal song. And let me tell you this, your choice is not only about you. When you said yes, chains that were wrapped around your family line began to snap. The angels saw it. They saw curses crumble. They saw patterns break. You might not notice it yet, but your children and your children's children will walk on paths cleared by your decision. Think about it. One stone dropped in water sends ripples across the entire lake. Your obedience is that stone. The ripples will reach further than you imagine, touching people you may never even meet. And heaven celebrates because your yes is not isolated, it is multiplying. So stand firm. Let your heart be steady. You did not just choose for today, you chose for eternity. The angels know it. Heaven recorded it. And history has been altered because you dared to obey. You have always known, deep inside, that you are different. Even when you tried to fit in, when you forced yourself to laugh at jokes that didn't touch your spirit, or when you tried to walk the wide road just to avoid being noticed. Something within you resisted. It was not rebellion, it was calling. Heaven marked you long before you realized it, and every attempt to blend in was met with divine friction. You were never meant to be ordinary, and the angels knew it. This is why they were not surprised when storms chased you harder than they chased others. You might have wondered why friends seemed to live careless lives while you paid for every misstep, but it was not punishment, it was protection. When you carry an assignment, heaven will not allow you to settle in the shadows of mediocrity. You are set apart, like a vessel reserved for holy use, even before you understood your own worth. Imagine a tree in the middle of a forest. All the other trees look the same, blending into one endless canopy. But this one tree is marked with a scar of lightning. It stands taller. Its branches stretch further. Its bark carries the memory of fire. That is you. Others may not notice the scar, but the angels see it, and they know you have been chosen to rise above the forest. Your difference has often brought you pain. People misunderstood you. Some distanced themselves from you without explanation. Others whispered, questioning your motives or mocking your faith. And you felt the sting of rejection, wondering if something was wrong with you. But the truth is, their rejection was heaven's redirection. Had they embraced you, you might have blended into their patterns. Instead, their rejection carved out the space where God could mold you into something greater. The scriptures reveal in the book of Psalms, chapter 1, verse 3, that person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers. This is who you are, even when seasons change, even when drought surrounds you. The roots of your calling drink from living water. That is why you cannot wither like the rest. That is why you stand out. There was once a woman who felt invisible in her community. She prayed silently, giving her heart to God, while those around her dismissed her tears. What no one knew was that her quiet faith was shaping generations yet unborn. Years later, her descendants walked in strength she had never known herself. Angels had seen her devotion when no one else did, and they were astonished by her resilience. That woman's story mirrors yours. You too have carried silent burdens that others never noticed, and heaven has not ignored them. Chosen one. Being different is not a curse. It is your signature of destiny. You are like a lantern carried into a cave, a sound that echoes in the silence, a flame that refuses to die out even when drenched by rain. The angels recognize this difference, and it is why they paused when you made your choice. They knew you had been set apart, but even they were struck by the depth of your obedience. You may still wrestle with loneliness, but solitude has been the soil of your strength. While others filled their lives with noise, you learned to hear the still, small voice. While others drowned their fear in distractions, you allowed your tears to become prayers. And in those hidden places, the foundation of your destiny was built. When heaven marks someone, they cannot remain unnoticed. You can try to bury your light, but eventually it seeps out, and the darkness around you trembles. This is why you have felt the weight of battles others do not face. You are not being punished, you are being refined. Like gold in fire, your shine emerges from the furnace of testing. The angels have seen it all. They have seen you wrestle. They have seen you rise. They have seen you stand when the ground shook beneath your feet. They knew you were different, but your resilience confirmed it beyond doubt. And so they watch with reverence, knowing that God's hand is heavy upon your life. Your difference is your destiny. It is the evidence that you were chosen, the seal that heaven placed upon you. And though the world may never fully understand, heaven does. The angels understand, and your story is still unfolding under their gaze. There are battles you have fought that no one else could see. Smiles hid them. Work masked them. Even those closest to you did not know how much weight you were carrying. But the angels knew. They saw the unseen wars those nights when your mind was a battlefield and every thought tried to drag you into despair. They saw you trembling under pressure, yet refusing to bow to the darkness. And they marveled, because each silent victory shook the atmosphere more than you realized. It has always been like this. The invisible carries greater weight than the visible. The world sees scars on the skin, but heaven sees scars on the soul. People celebrate trophies, but heaven celebrates tears that turn into prayer. People applaud public success, but angels stand in awe of private obedience. Picture this: a soldier standing guard at night while everyone else sleeps. No one thanks him, no one claps, but his presence prevents the enemy from entering the camp. That is what your quiet resistance has been. Others lived freely because you were interceding, watching, and fighting battles on your knees. They may never know what they owe you, but heaven knows. Your struggles were not wasted. They became testimonies written in invisible ink across the pages of eternity. Every time you resisted the urge to give up, a sentence of your story was carved deeper. The hosts of heaven watched, holding their breath. And when you chose to stand, their awe grew louder than their songs. The scripture speaks in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 17. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. What you endured in silence is not lost. It is being transformed into eternal glory. And that is why the angels looked at your struggles with wonder. They knew glory was being birthed. Your unseen battles were never just about you. Every time you fought in secret, you were writing strength into the DNA of those who will come after you. Your children, your family. Even those connected to you spiritually will stand taller because you refuse to fall. The angels are astonished because they see the ripple effect of your perseverance stretching across generations. I want you to realize something. No prayer whispered in weakness was wasted. No tear shed alone was overlooked. They were gathered like pearls in heaven's treasury. What the world discarded, heaven treasured. And now those moments stand as proof that you are not just surviving, you are carving out a legacy of faith. If this resonates with your spirit, I want you to engage with this message in a prophetic way. Go to the comments and write, "Angels witnessed this." Why? Because those 3 words testify that your battles were never hidden, your tears never ignored, your perseverance never unnoticed. When you write it, you remind yourself that heaven is your witness, and you give courage to someone else who feels unseen in their struggle. Chosen one, never doubt this truth. The angels are not impressed by crowns made of gold, but they are moved by crowns of endurance. You wear such a crown already, forged in nights of silence, shaped by tears, polished by faith. And though the world may not see it yet, heaven does, and they bow their heads in reverence at what God has done in you. And let me expand this further for you. When you typed those words, "Angels witness this," you are not just leaving a comment. You are making a declaration into both realms, seen and unseen. In the natural, it may look like simple text, but in the spiritual, it becomes a banner waving over your life, proclaiming that your story is not forgotten. Every demon that mocked you is reminded that you endured. Every angel that stood beside you nods with reverence, confirming that yes, they truly did witness your stand. Think of a courtroom where witnesses testify. Without witnesses, a story can be questioned. But when witnesses stand up, truth is sealed. That is what this moment is. The heavenly witnesses confirm that your unseen battles are true, and your endurance is written into eternity. Even more, your declaration helps others. Someone who feels invisible will read your words and realize, if the angels saw them, then the angels see me too. Your obedience becomes a ripple of courage for others drowning in despair. This is the hidden power of testimony. It multiplies hope. So do not be silent. Speak it. Write it. Let heaven and earth know that the battles did not break you. You are still here, and angels witnessed it all. Rejection has a way of piercing deeper than any wound on the body. You know this well. Words spoken behind your back, cut sharper than knives. Invitations withheld. Friendships abandoned. Doors slammed without explanation. Each moment left a mark that no one else could see. And yet, while people turned away, the angels leaned closer. They were not shocked that you experienced rejection. They were shocked by how you carried it. Instead of allowing bitterness to poison your spirit, you chose to keep your heart open. It is easy to retaliate. It is easy to harden, but you did not. The angels saw the nights when you lifted broken prayers, not curses, toward heaven. They saw you weep and then forgive. That is what left them in awe, because they have witnessed countless souls crumble under the weight of betrayal. But you chose the harder path. Imagine a clay jar struck by stones. One would expect cracks, holes, destruction. Yet instead, the jar absorbs the strike, and somehow its surface becomes stronger, its glaze more radiant. That is you. What should have shattered you has only refined you. And the angels are still marveling at the mystery of such resilience. Rejection, painful as it is, became your teacher. It taught you to recognize the voice of God above the voice of people. It stripped away the need for constant approval and drove you to the one whose acceptance never wavers. You learned that human applause fades quickly, but divine recognition endures forever. And heaven itself honored you when others overlooked you. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 27, verse 10, "Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me." This truth wrapped itself around you like a shield. Even when those closest to you turned away, you were not abandoned. You were received into arms greater than theirs, arms that never let go. The angels know the sting of rejection. They remember Lucifer's fall, the rebellion that fractured heaven, the grief of losing one of their own. They know the weight of betrayal. That is why your endurance carries so much meaning. You did not let rejection pull you into rebellion. You let it push you closer to the throne. They watched you choose surrender over resentment, worship over complaint, and they stood in holy silence, astonished. Think of Joseph, thrown into a pit by his own brothers. His cries for help were ignored. His family's rejection seemed final. But what men meant for harm, God transformed into destiny. The angels knew Joseph's story well, and they see the same thread woven into yours. Your rejection has been the very soil where destiny grows. When you were left out, you found deeper communion with God. When doors shut, you discovered windows of revelation. When voices silenced you, you found the courage to hear heaven's whisper louder than ever. This is why rejection never truly destroyed you. It redirected you, and that redirection is what angels celebrate. Sometimes you may wonder, why me? Why so many losses? So much misunderstanding. But heaven sees the bigger picture. They know rejection was the chiseling tool shaping you into a vessel of honor. They know betrayal was the fire refining your gold. What people thought was the end became the very beginning of your unveiling. Picture again a seed, buried deep, cut off from light, pressed down by heavy soil, to the world above. It seems forgotten, but beneath, in silence, it is breaking open. Life is stirring. Soon, the seed pushes upward, breaking the very ground that tried to suffocate it. That seed is you. The rejection was the burial, but your destiny is the sprout pushing through. And the angels cannot help but watch with awe as life emerges where death was expected. You are not defined by who left, by who misunderstood, by who mocked. You are defined by who received you, the Lord Himself. That is the truth angels sing about. Even now, the ones who turned away wrote one story, but heaven has written another, and it is the greater story, chosen one. Your rejection has become your redirection. It is the very proof that you were never meant to belong everywhere, because you were set apart for something higher. And while people may never understand the full weight of your journey, the angels do. They saw it. They still see it. And they marvel at how you walked through the valley of rejection and came out clothed in glory. There comes a moment in every journey when you arrive at a crossroads. One road is familiar, wide, full of noise, and crowded with those who have chosen ease. The other road is narrow, quiet, and often lonely. The angels saw you standing there. They leaned forward, because they knew how hard this choice would be. And then You turned your steps toward the narrow way. Do you realize what that did? In that instant, the atmosphere shifted. You didn't just choose a path for yourself, you set into motion a ripple that affected those around you. And even those who will come after you, your choice echoed into eternity. The scripture speaks in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19. This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live. This verse is not abstract. It is what the angels saw happening through you. You chose life. Even when death was easier, you chose blessing. Even when curses seemed unavoidable, and heaven was stunned. It is not easy to obey. You know the weight of that. You felt the cost. Sometimes it looked like loss, like missed opportunities, like doors closed. But the angels saw something different. They saw chains fall. They saw light break. They saw a choice so rare that it caused heaven to pause in reverence. Imagine a stone thrown into a pond. The ripples move outward, touching places the stone itself will never touch. That is your obedience. Every decision to honor God is a ripple of light moving outward. Someone you may never meet will feel the effects of your faithfulness. And because of that, I want to pause here and invite you to reflect with me. Press the like button so others can find this word more easily. As if you are lighting a lantern in the dark for travelers still searching, share this message with someone you know is at their own crossroads, because your share might be the lifeline they need, like passing them a map when they are lost. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because these words are not entertainment, they are bread for the journey. Strength for chosen ones who need to know they are not walking alone. And let me say something tenderly, from the heart. If you feel led, you can also give. Think of it not as an obligation, but as sowing into the soil that feeds you, just as a farmer drops a seed into the earth, not knowing exactly how it will multiply. Your gift becomes a seed. It helps this message reach further. It waters the work so more chosen ones can find strength for their steps. But remember this, it is always voluntary, never forced. Like the choice you made at the crossroads, it must come from your heart. Giving is like adding oil to a lamp. The flame is already burning, but the oil makes it brighter, stronger, lasting longer into the night. Your support is that oil. It doesn't buy God's blessing. His blessing is already yours. It simply fuels the light so others in darkness can find their way. I share this with gentleness, because I know how easily people can feel pressured. That is not my heart. Just as the Lord says, He loves a cheerful giver. So I say, if you feel joy in your heart to give, let it flow. And if not, then let your yes to God in other ways be your offering. Every act of obedience, whether in giving, in sharing, or in silent prayer, is precious before heaven. The angels are witnesses, not only to your struggles, but also to your generosity. They know that every seed planted in love multiplies in ways unseen. They saw how your choice at the crossroads shook the unseen realm. And they will also see how your seeds, whether words, prayers, or gifts, continue to ripple into eternity. So, here is my simple encouragement. Walk in freedom. Choose with joy. Know that your yes, in whatever form it takes, matters more than you can imagine. The angels are still watching. They are still marveling. And heaven is still recording. Your life is not a small story. It is not a hidden moment. It is a divine narrative that continues to unfold under the gaze of heaven. Every choice, every act, every gift, every prayer, it is part of the eternal song. And the angels cannot stop being astonished by the beauty of what God is doing through you. When you said yes to God, it did not only alter your personal journey, it sent ripples through the entire spiritual realm. The angels saw it. They saw the moment when your obedience ignited something invisible yet unstoppable. What looked like a simple decision in the natural exploded into shock waves in the unseen. It was like striking a match in the deepest cave. The darkness had no choice but to retreat. Do you realize what happened? Your obedience became more than your own testimony. It became a signal fire. Just as sailors in the night look for the lighthouse to guide them, your choice lit up the horizon for others. Those who feel lost, those who wonder if it is worth it, can now glimpse your light and know there is a path forward. The angels marveled at this. They are not surprised by God's power. They have seen His glory for eternity, but they are astonished when a fragile human, dust and breath, chooses His will above their own. They know how costly obedience can be. And that is why they gasped when you made that choice. Consider this image. A single pebble dropped into a still lake. The circles spread far beyond where the pebble landed. That is your yes. It spread through your family, through your community, through time itself. You may not see the outer circles yet, but heaven already sees them. The prophet Hosea wrote with passion in his scroll, chapter 10, verse 12, "Sow righteousness for yourselves, reap the fruit of unfailing love, and break up your unplowed ground, for it is time to seek the Lord, until He comes and showers His righteousness on you." This is what your decision became, a seed of righteousness planted in the ground. And heaven saw that the soil cracked open, ready for rain. The angels witnessed the breaking. They saw the soil of your heart, hard from wounds, heavy from battles, begin to soften under your yes. They knew what that meant. A harvest was on its way. And so they watched with awe, whispering among themselves, "This one has chosen to plow the unplowed ground." Your ripple effect cannot be measured by numbers on a screen or applause from people. It is measured by eternity. A choice you made today might mean freedom for someone 10 years from now. A sacrifice you made in silence may become the reason another soul finds their way back to God. The angels see the long view. They see the future impact of your present obedience. This is why they were shocked, not because obedience itself is new, but because your obedience in this moment unlocked doors for many. They stood still, wings folded, listening for the sound of your yes echoing through the corridors of time. And now I want to invite you into a simple prophetic act. Go to the comments and type the number 10. Why 10? Because Hosea 10:12 declared that when you sow righteousness, you reap unfailing love. By writing 10, you are declaring that your obedience is not wasted, that you are sowing seeds into a future harvest. You are saying, "I choose to sow, even when I cannot yet see the fruit." And when you type it, remember this: it is not about the number itself, but about what it represents. The angels who watched your choice now watch your declaration. They know that you are aligning yourself with heaven's promise of harvest. And your words, even in a comment, become part of that testimony. The unseen realm is not impressed with noise. It responds to obedience. And your yes has already shaken more than you realize. Hold on to that truth. Every ripple matters. Every seed counts. And heaven has already written your obedience into its eternal record. Think of what happens when rain finally falls on land that has been dry for years. At first, the ground resists, it cracks, it groans, but soon the soil softens, and seeds, hidden long ago, begin to awaken. That is what your obedience has done. The angels saw it. Your yes broke the hard ground, and heaven's rain began to fall. Seeds that looked forgotten are stirring. Promises that felt delayed are beginning to breathe again. Typing the number 10 is more than symbolic. It is a declaration that you believe the rain is coming. It is you saying, "The ground will yield. The seed will sprout. My obedience has meaning." And when you write it, you join a chorus of other chosen ones whose yes is echoing into eternity. The angels continue to watch, still astonished. Not because they doubt God's power, but because they honor your courage. Dust and breath dared to say yes. And in that, yes, history was shifted. Eternity leaned forward. And your name was written deeper in the story of heaven. In the throne room of heaven, nothing goes unnoticed. Every act of faith, every word spoken in obedience, every tear shed in secret, it is all recorded. The angels watched as your decision was written into the books, etched into eternal ink. They knew that this moment was not temporary. It was permanent. A new line was added to your assignment. A shift that could never be erased. You may think of it as ordinary. To you, it was just a hard choice, a painful step, a whispered yes. But in the throne room, it was thunder. Imagine a scribe, pen in hand, capturing every detail. Your obedience was not just seen, it was documented, and that record carries weight in eternity. The scriptures remind us in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 16, "Then those who feared the Lord talked with each other, and the Lord listened and heard." A scroll of remembrance was written in his presence concerning those who feared the Lord and honored his name. Do you see it? The very act of honoring God caused a scroll to be written, and the angels were present, witnessing the inscription of your choice. Think about a courtroom again. Every testimony is written down, every judgment recorded. Nothing is left vague. That is how heaven handles your obedience. It is not left to chance, not stored as a faint memory. It is inked forever into the archives of God's story. The angels stood near the throne, watching the ink dry on the heavenly scrolls. They knew what that meant. No one, not even the enemy, could erase it. Satan may accuse, people may doubt, but the record stands. Heaven has declared your choice valid, sealed, eternal. Consider this image, a single star carved into stone. Wind cannot erase it. Rain cannot wash it away. And time cannot weaken its mark. That is what your obedience has become, a carving in the eternal stone of God's history. The angels marveled because they knew how rare it is for dust and breath to leave such an imprint. This record is not simply about what you did. It is about who you are becoming. Your choice shifted your identity. Heaven now sees you not only as a survivor, but as a carrier of destiny. The angels watched the transformation. A weary soul becoming a warrior. A wanderer becoming a witness. a fragile one, becoming a flame. Even in silence, the throne room reverberated. The moment your yes was written down, authority increased upon your life. You may not feel it yet, but the record itself carries weight. When heaven documents something, the earth eventually aligns with it. What is written above cannot be denied below. Sometimes you have felt forgotten, overlooked, even invisible. But heaven's scroll proves otherwise. The king himself noticed. He did not merely glance at your life, he commanded it to be written. The angels saw it and bowed their heads, for they knew how serious this inscription was. Imagine a library, endless in size, filled with scrolls and books, every page glowing with the fire of God's memory. Somewhere in that library, your name burns bright, attached to the testimony of your obedience. And every time an angel passes by, they remember what you chose. They remember how you stood. They remember how you said yes when everything in you wanted to say no. This is why your story cannot end in defeat. The record does not lie. The ink of heaven does not fade. You have been sealed into a history larger than your own. And the angels will forever recall the day your name was etched deeper into eternity. So, walk forward with this assurance. Your obedience is permanent. Your yes is eternal. And heaven itself holds the record. While angels continue to marvel at what God has written through you. And let me explain this clearly. When heaven writes something down, it is not just memory, it is decree. A decree carries power. It is like a seal pressed into wax, permanent, binding, undeniable. The angels know this, and that is why they stood in awe. They understood that your choice had just moved from being a moment in time to becoming a mandate in eternity. Even if storms rise, even if people doubt you, even if the enemy whispers lies, the scroll remains. Your name is connected to an eternal testimony that cannot be undone. And when you stand in future battles, this record will speak for you. It will remind heaven, earth, and even hell itself that you already chose. You already stood. You already said yes. And that yes is still echoing now. The enemy had one expectation for you, that you would collapse. He designed traps, wove lies, and whispered accusations, certain that sooner or later you would break. He studied your weaknesses, watched your patterns, and set snares exactly where you would stumble. Demons circled, convinced that your fall was inevitable. Yet the angels watched in silence, waiting for the outcome. And then it happened. You stood. You rose again. You chose light over darkness, obedience over rebellion, faith over fear. The devil's expectation shattered like glass underfoot. Every time you resisted, every time you whispered a prayer instead of surrendering, the plans of hell unraveled. The angels gasped because they knew how carefully the enemy had prepared your downfall, and they saw how quickly heaven turned it into your rise. Think of a chessboard. The adversary moved with calculation, anticipating victory. He believed he had cornered you, but with one simple decision, you turned the entire game. The angels marveled at how a single step of obedience outmaneuvered an army of lies. What looked like checkmate became a fresh opening, and the board shifted in your favor. The scriptures remind us in the letter of James, chapter 4, verse 7, "Submit yourselves, then, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. That is exactly what happened. You did not overcome by force of your own strength, but by submission to God. The moment you resisted, the enemy lost his grip. He fled, not because he wanted to, but because heaven's authority forced him to. The angels were astonished at the speed of his retreat. Demons who once mocked you scattered. Darkness that once pressed against your chest lifted. Lies that seemed unbreakable shattered in an instant. And heaven knew it was not your power, but your surrender, that secured the victory. Picture a storm pressing against a mountain. The winds roar. The rain lashes. The thunder shakes the skies. Yet the mountain does not move. That is what your obedience looked like. The storm came with fury, but you remained unmoved, rooted in God's hand. The devil expected erosion, but instead, the mountain stood taller after the storm passed. There is a reason the enemy targeted you so fiercely. He saw what you carried. He feared what you would become. He understood that your light was not only for you, but for many others who would find hope through your story. That is why he tried to suffocate it early, to snuff it out before it could burn brighter. But your decision to remain faithful ensured that the flame could not be extinguished. The angels marveled because they knew history was shifting. The enemy's expectation was not just your fall, it was the fall of those who would have been inspired by you. But when you rose, you carried them with you. Your stand became their hope. Your endurance became their courage. Even now, hell trembles at the memory of your yes. They planned for your ruin, but instead, your resilience has turned into a banner waving over the battlefield. You walk forward not as the defeated, but as the one who proved the devil wrong. And every step you take is a reminder that his strategies are fragile compared to God's plan. Consider again the angel's perspective. They do not marvel at God's power. He has always been almighty. They marvel at yours, the fragile strength of a human heart. Still choosing God, despite pain. Still saying yes, despite fear. They saw dust defy darkness. Clay vessels shine with eternal fire. And they were moved. The enemy's failed expectation is now part of your testimony. Every snare that didn't hold you, every lie that lost power, every temptation that broke before your persistence, they all prove the truth. You are not easily shaken. You are chosen, and you have already overturned the enemy's plans. So walk in that awareness. You do not carry defeat. You carry victory stamped upon your soul. The angels saw it. Hell knows it. And heaven has sealed it into your story. And let me make this clear. When the devil's expectations collapse, it is not just about you escaping a trap. It is about a testimony being born. The very place where he thought you would fall has become the place where others will rise. Your scars, once hidden in silence, are now trophies of grace. The angels saw it. They know that every failed snare has transformed into evidence of God's faithfulness. So when you look back, do not only see the pain, see the battlefield now marked with your victory. What once felt like weakness is proof of strength. What once felt like defeat has become a platform for glory. The enemy expected ruin, but heaven recorded triumph. You may wonder why this message has reached you now, at this precise moment. The truth is, it is not random. It is prophetic confirmation. Heaven itself orchestrated the timing. The angels, who once marveled at your choice, now bear witness that you are hearing these words because you are meant to know. Your yes has not gone unnoticed. Every detail of your journey, every silent prayer, every tear that dried on your pillow, they all built to this moment. Heaven wanted you to know that your obedience was not wasted. You may have thought you walked alone, but heaven's witnesses followed each step. They recorded it. They carried it. And now they remind you through this very word. The scriptures reveal in the book of Hebrews, chapter 6, verse 10, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown as you helped his people and continue to help them. Nothing you have done in love has been overlooked. The angels saw it. God himself remembers it. And now this word confirms it. Sometimes you doubted. You questioned whether heaven had really seen. You wondered if your choices, made in the dark, mattered to anyone. But confirmation has come. The angels not only saw, they were shocked. And their awe continues to this day. This is why you are hearing this message now, because the timing is divine. Imagine a messenger arriving at your door just when you needed strength to keep walking. That is what this moment is. The words you are hearing are not casual inspiration. They are a signpost planted by heaven to assure you that you are on the right path. The angels stand as witnesses, nodding, saying, yes, we saw it. Yes, it mattered. Yes, this one is chosen. Everything. This is why prophetic confirmation is powerful. It does not introduce something new. It reveals what has already been happening in secret. You have been walking faithfully, and heaven has been keeping record. But in the weariness of waiting, you needed to hear it aloud. This is that moment. I want you to do something small, yet significant. Go to the comments and write, "Still chosen." Why those words? Because they declare the truth. Heaven already knows that no matter the battles, no matter the doubts, you remain chosen. When you write it, you echo what the angels witnessed. You confirm on earth what is already sealed in heaven. And remember this, prophetic words are not just encouragement, they are alignment. When you hear them, when you declare them, you step more firmly into the path God already marked out. You stop doubting, and you start walking with assurance. That is why heaven wanted you here. Hearing this now, chosen one. This is your confirmation. Your life is not unnoticed. Your choices are not forgotten. And your destiny is still unfolding under the gaze of heaven's witnesses. Think of how a judge strikes the gavel in a courtroom. The sound announces that the decision has been made. The case is closed, and no further argument can change it. That is what prophetic confirmation does for you. It is the gavel of heaven declaring, the matter is settled. You are chosen, and nothing the enemy whispers can undo it. The angels heard the gavel strike. They know that your destiny has already been sealed. Sometimes you felt suspended in the waiting, like a traveler standing at a train platform, unsure if the train would ever arrive. The silence stretched, and doubt grew heavy. But now heaven has sent this word as the train pulling into the station. The waiting was not wasted, it was preparation. And the angels marvel that you did not abandon the platform, but remained, watching, hoping, believing. Confirmation is also a reminder that your story is not isolated. The angels see the threads weaving together the prayers of your ancestors. The promises spoken long before your birth. The choices you are making now. They see how each piece interlocks, forming a tapestry that only heaven could design. That is why they were astonished at your obedience. It aligned with something far greater than you realized. When you declare in the comments, "Still chosen," you are not merely repeating words. You are speaking a verdict over your life. You are telling your doubts, "Sit down. The decision has been made." You are telling your past, "It no longer defines me." You are telling your future, "It is already secured." And the angels nod, because they know these words are true. So hold this. Close prophetic confirmation is not the beginning of your story, nor is it the end. It is the marker along the way, reminding you that you are still on the right path, and heaven is still watching with awe. There is something sacred about carrying heaven's fragrance. The angels recognized it on you the moment you made your choice. It is not a scent the world can imitate. It cannot be bottled or sold. It is the fragrance of obedience, the perfume of surrender, and it lingers wherever you walk. Others may not understand it, but the unseen world does. Demons flee from it, because they cannot bear the aroma of faith. Angels draw near to it, because it reminds them of the incense rising before the throne of God, and heaven delights in it, because it is evidence that your heart belongs to the Lord. Think of a flower in a hidden valley. No one passes by to see it bloom. No human nose bends down to breathe it in. Yet the flower opens anyway, releasing its fragrance into the air. That is what your life has been: obedience in secret, surrender when no one clapped, worship when no one noticed. The fragrance reached heaven, and the angels inhaled it with awe. The apostle reminds us in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 2, verse 15, "For we are to God the pleasing aroma of Christ among those being saved and those who are perishing." That is what you carry. When you walk into a room, unseen realms shift, because the scent of Christ rests upon you. And this fragrance is not only for you, it marks your children, your family, your community. Just as the scent of bread fills an entire house, your obedience spreads further than you realize. People encounter you and cannot explain why they feel peace, why they sense hope, why they suddenly hunger for God. It is the fragrance of obedience clinging to you. Now, let me pause here and speak with you, heart to heart. If this word is reaching you, if you feel the truth of it stirring deep within, then let your response be part of that fragrance. Press like as though you are letting your yes rise like incense. Share this message as if you are passing a candle to another soul lost in darkness. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because chosen ones are not meant to walk alone. They gather like a garden where every flower adds to the fragrance. And if your spirit feels stirred, let me invite you gently. Consider giving, not out of pressure, not out of obligation, but as a continuation of the aroma you already carry. Think of it this way: when a farmer breaks a jar of oil over the soil, the scent fills the air, and soon the field produces fruit. Your gift is like that jar. It adds fragrance to the work, allowing the seeds of this message to spread further. Giving is never a purchase, it is an offering. It is like pouring water onto thirsty ground. The ground already exists. The seed is already planted, but your water ensures the growth reaches further and lasts longer. And the fragrance? It multiplies. Every soul touched becomes another flower opening in the valley. I share this with gentleness, because the Lord Himself never forces. He invites. He waits. He gives room for the heart to respond freely. And so, too, this invitation is only that an invitation. If joy rises in your heart, let it overflow into action. If not, know this: your prayers, your presence, your yes are already beautiful offerings. The angels see the fragrance you release. They have watched it rise from hidden places, from nights of tears, from mornings of weary faith, and they marvel still. Because such beauty cannot be manufactured, it can only be born from surrender. So whether your offering is a prayer, a word of encouragement, a gift, or simply the pressing of a button to share this message, the fragrance is real. It matters. It lasts. It touches eternity. Chosen one. Never doubt this. You carry heaven's aroma. The angels know it. Hell fears it. And heaven delights in it. Walk forward, leaving that fragrance wherever you go. And know that eternity itself is marked by the beauty of your yes. And here is the mystery: your fragrance is not fleeting. Perfume in the world fades after hours, but the aroma of obedience grows stronger with time. The angels breathe it in again and again, amazed that dust and clay could release such sweetness. Every act of faith, every choice of surrender, adds another layer to the scent. When you step into a room, you carry heaven with you, and long after you leave, the fragrance remains, reminding all of eternity that you are chosen. When you made your choice, it was not only about your own freedom. The angels saw something bigger. They witnessed chains that had wrapped themselves around your family line begin to break. Curses whispered across generations started to unravel. Cycles that seemed unshakable cracked under the weight of your obedience. This is why the angels marveled. They knew the history. They saw the battles of your ancestors, the ones who tried but never broke free. They remembered the moments when compromise seemed easier, when darkness passed like an inheritance, and then they looked at you, flesh of their flesh, bone of their bone, but carrying a different spirit. They saw you say yes where others said no. They saw you walk away from patterns that held others captive. Think of a chain stretched across centuries, each link forged by repeated choices, hammered by repeated sins, welded by repeated compromises. To the natural eye, it looks unbreakable. But then, with one strike, one spark of light, one act of obedience, the chain snaps. That is what the angels saw. And their awe was not just at the breaking, it was at the one who dared to lift the hammer. The prophet Nahum speaks with boldness in his scroll, chapter 1, verse 13. Now I will break their yoke from your neck and tear your shackles away. This word, though ancient, became alive the moment you chose differently. The yoke that weighed down your lineage was lifted, and the shackles were torn away. Heaven rejoiced, and the angels marveled because they had seen how long those chains had held. Your obedience did not erase the past, it redeemed it. What was once shame became testimony. What was once weakness became strength. And the angels whispered among themselves, "This one has shifted the story of a family." Picture a river that has flowed in the same direction for generations. Suddenly, a stone redirects its current. At first, the change seems small, just a ripple at the surface. But over time, the entire flow is altered, carving a new path through the land. That is what your obedience has done. It redirected the flow, not only for yourself, but for those who will come after you. The angels marvel at the unseen consequences. They see the children who will rise stronger, the families who will walk freer, the voices that will sing because you chose to break silence. They see the unborn inheriting blessings instead of curses, and they cannot help but pause, astonished by how one yes can change generations. You may feel the weight of battles that were not yours to begin with. You carried wounds from choices you never made, burdens from sins you never committed. Yet instead of being crushed, you stood, and in your standing, the angels saw history bend. They saw curses collapse and blessings awaken. Consider this image, a seed buried under stones. Year after year, it tries to grow, but the weight above keeps it pressed down. Then one day, a crack opens, light enters. The seed pushes upward with strength it never knew it had, and against all odds, it breaks through. That seed is you. Your breakthrough is the beginning of a new forest. The angels continue to watch, because they know the story is still unfolding. Generational chains do not fall quietly, they fall with echoes. The echo of your obedience will continue to ring for years to come, and though you may not hear it yet, heaven hears it, and the angels bow their heads in reverence. So do not underestimate what has happened. Your obedience has done more than change your life. It has rewritten the story of your bloodline. The angels are witnesses to this, still in awe of the shift, still marveling at the courage that dared to break what seemed unbreakable. And let me unfold this even deeper. When a chain snaps, it does not only release the one bound, it also sends a sound through the air. The angels heard it. That sound was like a trumpet blast, announcing freedom, not only for you, but for every life connected to yours. They knew that history itself had shifted, that what once held generations captive now lies broken at your feet. This is why you must never minimize your choice. You are not simply surviving, you are pioneering. You are the one who turned a corner others thought impossible. And because of that, generations yet unborn will call you blessed. The angels remain astonished, not just at what broke, but at who dared to rise and make it happen. When you said yes, heaven did not leave you to walk alone. New orders were given in the throne room. The angels who had stood watching in awe received fresh assignments. They were dispatched like lightning, carrying instructions written in fire: protect, guide, strengthen, surround. What you felt as sudden peace in the middle of chaos was no accident. What you noticed as unexpected provision, a door opening where none existed, was no coincidence. These were answers carried by messengers, swift as the wind, obedient to the command of the king. The angels who once marveled at your choice are now mobilized to guard that choice and ensure it blossoms. The Book of Psalms, chapter 91, verse 11, declares, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." That word was not just written for ancient days, it is living now. Over you, the angels received their orders, and they are carrying them out with precision. Picture an army moving at the sound of a trumpet. The soldiers do not hesitate. They know their commander's voice. That is how the angels respond when heaven releases new instructions over your life. They march into position, surrounding you, unseen, yet undeniable. You may not realize how often you've been carried. The accident that never happened, the night you felt strangely protected, the strength you found when you should have collapsed. These are not random moments. They are evidence that fresh assignments were written in your favor. The angels saw the weight of your yes, and now they walk beside you to guard the fruit of it. Imagine walking through a marketplace, crowded and loud, yet realizing you are never jostled too hard, never crushed by the press of the crowd. That invisible cushion is how the angels move around you, creating space, shielding blows, guiding your steps. You walk, but you are never alone. And here is the mystery. Your obedience did not only call angels to watch it, called them to work. They are not passive spectators. They are active participants in your story. They go before you, clearing obstacles. They stand behind you, closing doors that would lead to harm. They surround you, carrying heaven's orders to keep you steady on the path chosen for you. This is why the angels remain astonished. They knew obedience mattered, but they also knew that your yes would activate a movement in heaven's ranks. They saw their orders shift the moment you chose differently, and they have been running with those orders ever since. Now I invite you to mark this moment in a prophetic act. Go to the comments and write the number 11. Why 11? Because Psalm 91:11 declares the promise that angels are commanded concerning you. By typing 11, you are aligning yourself with that word, agreeing that heaven's army is not only watching, but actively guarding your ways. When you write it, remember, you are not invoking protection, you are acknowledging it. You are declaring that the orders have already gone out, that heaven's army is already surrounding you. The angels saw your choice, and now they carry your future like a banner. Chosen one. Walk with confidence. The throne room issued new orders, and heaven's messengers are moving on your behalf. You are covered, you are guarded, and your story is unfolding under their watchful wings. Think of how a shepherd sends his staff forward into the grass. Before stepping, he knows danger can hide where the eyes cannot see. The angels are that staff. They move ahead of you into places you cannot perceive, striking down threats before they ever reach you. What looks to you like a smooth path is often a battlefield already cleared by unseen hands. The orders heaven issued were not general, they were personal. Angels are not sent with vague directions. They carry specific assignments with your name inscribed on them. That is why doors closed that you once begged to open, because angels, in obedience to heaven's command, shut them to protect you. That is why unexpected opportunities emerged out of nowhere, because angels, obeying fresh instructions, unlocked them for you. And every time you move forward, those orders are refreshed. The angels do not grow weary, nor do they forget. Their astonishment at your obedience fuels their joy in carrying out their assignments. They know they are guarding someone whose yes has shifted history. So when you typed the number 11, you did more than comment. You acknowledged an invisible reality. You joined heaven's agreement that your life is under active guardianship. The angels saw your choice, received their orders, and are still moving swiftly to ensure nothing can undo what God has sealed. When heaven turns its gaze toward you, it is never for your glory alone. The angels saw this shift. They understood that God's purpose in raising you is not to magnify your name, but His. You were hidden for a season, unseen, misunderstood, even underestimated. And then, at the right time, the light of heaven broke over your life. It was not sudden to them. They had been watching the preparation all along. every hardship, every lonely prayer, every unseen act of obedience became the foundation for this moment. The angels marveled not at the elevation itself, but at the process that led to it. They knew that the soil of humility had been plowed deep in your soul, and that is why the fruit of destiny can now emerge. The prophet Haggai declared with authority in his 2nd chapter, verse 9, "The glory of this present house will be greater than the glory of the former house, says the Lord Almighty. And in this place I will grant peace." These words echo through your life right now. What is being built in and through you will outshine what came before, not because of your striving, but because heaven itself has chosen to magnify His name through your story. Think of a lamp hidden under a clay pot. For years it seems dim, almost invisible, but when the covering is lifted, the light floods the room. That is what has happened to you. The angels saw the covering lifted, and they watched light spill into places that once sat in darkness. Your elevation is not for applause, it is for testimony. People who once doubted you will soon see not your strength, but God's hand upon you. Those who mocked your persistence will marvel, not at your resilience, but at His faithfulness. This is why the angels stand in awe, because they know the shift is not human achievement, but divine appointment. Consider how the morning sun rises. The night cannot resist it. Shadows retreat, not because they want to, but because they must. In the same way, the moment God decides to raise you, opposition loses its ground. The angels saw resistance crumble, valls fall, and paths open not by your might, but by His command. The throne room's decision to elevate you carries weight. It means resources are being aligned. People are being positioned. Opportunities are being stirred. And even opposition is being reshaped into preparation. You may feel the tension of it, but the angels see the orchestration of it. They marvel at how every piece falls into place at the sound of one word from the King. You must remember, however, that elevation brings responsibility. The angels do not marvel only at your rising, they marvel at the mantle now resting on your shoulders. It is a mantle of influence, not for self, but for service. You are being positioned as a vessel, a conduit of glory. Heaven is not raising you to shine alone, but to reflect light to many. Picture a torch lifted in a dark cave. The one holding it can see, but so can everyone behind them. That is what your life has become. The angels see you carrying light, not only for yourself, but for those walking after you. This is why heaven had to prepare you through hiddenness. If you had been elevated too soon, the light might have been consumed by pride or dimmed by immaturity. But now, forged by trials, refined by rejection, strengthened by obedience, you are ready. The angels honor the preparation because they know it was costly, and now they watch as God raises you higher, not for status, but for witness. Your life has become a stage where His glory is displayed. The angels see it. The heavens declare it, and the earth will soon acknowledge it. Chosen one, your elevation is not an accident. It is the unveiling of what heaven always knew. And though the world may call it success, the angels know it for what it truly is, a testimony to the glory of God. And let this be clear, when God elevates, He does so in such a way that no one can mistake the source. The angels see it plainly. They know that the hands which once trembled in weakness now carry strength not their own. They know that the voice which once whispered in the night now speaks with authority born of heaven. Your rise is not for applause, but for impact. Every step upward is a platform where his name resounds louder. And every eye that looks upon you is being directed to the glory of the King. Hell does not stay silent when heaven crowns a chosen one. The angels saw it clearly. The moment your obedience turned into testimony, jealousy ignited in the camp of darkness. Demons that once mocked your struggles now trembled at your endurance. The enemy who plotted your downfall now fumes, unable to explain your rise. The jealousy of darkness is not like human envy. It is violent, bitter, and restless. The enemy knows he has lost something he thought he owned. He thought your bloodline was his. He thought your heart would eventually belong to him. He thought your choices would echo compromise. But when you stood for God, his claim was shattered. The angels saw this collapse and marveled, because hell rarely loses what it believes it owns. Consider this: a thief guarding stolen treasure grows arrogant. He counts it as his, parades it as his, until the true owner arrives and demands it back. That is what your obedience did. It proved you belonged to heaven, not to hell. The thief lost his claim, and the angels rejoiced at his humiliation. The scriptures speak in the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17, "No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me, declares the Lord. Hell may grow jealous, but it cannot prevail. Weapons may be forged, but they cannot prosper." The angels marveled at how every attempt failed. They saw the nets that were laid for your feet, yet you walked past them. They saw the arrows aimed at your heart, yet they bounced off the shield of faith. They saw the storms meant to drown you, yet you walked out soaked in glory. Each failure of hell's schemes became a greater proof of heaven's protection. Picture a fire meant to consume wood, but instead it purifies gold. That is what hell's jealousy has done. The attacks that should have destroyed you refined you. The lies that should have silenced you deepened your conviction. The storms that should have broken you only revealed the strength God placed inside you. This is why the angels remain astonished. They know how fierce the attacks have been, how relentless the enemy has fought. And yet, they see you standing. They see you shining brighter, not dimmer. They see you carrying peace where fear should have ruled. To them, it is a marvel beyond words. Hell's jealousy is a backhanded confirmation of your identity. The enemy does not waste his fury on the ordinary. He reserves his fiercest battles for those marked with destiny. The more he fumes, the more he proves who you are. The angels know this and whisper to each other. If hell is this jealous, it is because this one carries great weight, even in their rage. The forces of darkness serve a hidden purpose. Every blow they strike only chisels your testimony deeper. Every arrow they fire only confirms your shield is real. Every storm they send only magnifies the rock on which you stand. The angels see this irony and are moved by the wisdom of God, that even jealousy becomes fuel for your rising. Do not mistake the intensity of attack for abandonment. It is, in fact, evidence of heaven's mark upon you. The angels have seen enough battles to recognize this pattern. The fiercest wars belong to the most chosen ones. Your endurance is proof that God has trusted you with more than you imagined. So let the jealousy of darkness rage. Let the storms howl. They cannot rewrite the story heaven has already sealed. The angels saw your obedience. They saw hell's fury. And they see now your resilience. To them, it is a living testimony that light always conquers darkness. Chosen one. The envy of hell is simply the echo of your victory. Wear it as proof that you are crowned, sealed, and carried by heaven itself. And understand this clearly. Jealousy in hell is not a sign of your weakness, but of your significance. The angels know that every time darkness rages, it is because something unshakable has been planted in you. The fury of the enemy is a mirror reflecting the strength of your calling. If there was nothing in you worth fearing, hell would have left you alone long ago. So the very opposition you face is, in truth, a crown placed upon your head. It testifies that you have become untouchable in the ways that matter most. And the angels keep watching, astonished, as every new wave of jealousy only reveals more of God's glory shining through you. The angels are not only witnesses to your battles, they are also witnesses to the torch you now carry. They have seen how the fire inside you was not borrowed from men, but kindled by the breath of God. They saw when it flickered in storms, when the winds of rejection nearly blew it out. Yet you cupped it with trembling hands and whispered, "I will not let go." And now the flame burns brighter than ever. You are a torchbearer, not because you sought a stage, not because you chased recognition, but because heaven placed light within you that refuses to die. The angels marvel at this. They know how much darkness tried to smother it. Yet they see you walking forward, flame held high, guiding others who stumble in the night. The Apostle Paul reminds us in his letter to the Philippians, chapter 2, verse 15, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God, without fault in a warped generation. Then you will shine among them, like stars in the sky. That is what the angels see in you. A star blazing in a sky of shadows. A torch lifted in a crooked generation. And here is the mystery. Your flame is not only for you, it is for the weary who walk behind you. It is for the broken who long for direction. It is for the seekers who wonder if light still exists. You are proof that it does. Now, let me pause. Not to command, but to invite. If this word resonates with your spirit, press like, not as a click, but as a way of adding oil to your flame, letting it burn higher where others can see. If you share this message, think of it as passing your torch into another hand, lighting the way for someone who is wandering. When you subscribe, it is like stepping into a circle of torchbearers, where many flames together make a bonfire that no wind can extinguish. And if your heart feels stirred, you may choose to give, not as a transaction, but as a sacred act. Imagine a traveler pouring a little of their water into the fire, not to quench it, but to create steam that rises upward, carrying the scent of sacrifice. That is what your giving does. It does not buy God's blessing, it amplifies the fragrance of obedience, making the flame visible further than before. Your support is not demanded, it is invited. Like a seed dropped into rich soil, it multiplies quietly. Like a river feeding a lamplit village, it sustains the light. If your spirit rejoices in the thought of sowing into this fire, let it be your joy. If not, know that your yes to God in other forms is no less beautiful. Every act of obedience, whether a gift, a word, or a prayer, is oil for the torch. The angels witness it all. They see the fire you guard, the steps you take, the sparks you pass to others, and they are astonished that a vessel of clay carries such a blaze without being consumed. They marvel because they know what it costs to keep a flame alive in the storm. Yet you have done it, and your light has not dimmed. So let your torch rise higher. Walk forward, not for applause, but because the world needs the light you carry. The angels already know the truth. You are a chosen torchbearer, crowned not with gold, but with fire, sealed not with titles, but with light. And as you continue, remember, every flame you share becomes another beacon, another testimony, another miracle that darkness cannot erase. And let me take you deeper. A torchbearer does not walk only for themselves. They walk for the procession behind them. Every step you take lights the ground for someone else's feet. The angels marvel because they see what you cannot. The faces of those who will never stumble in the same darkness, simply because your flame shone when theirs had gone out. Even more, your flame is not fragile. It has been tested in rain, battered by winds, nearly extinguished by storms, yet it endures. Why? Because it is not only your fire, it is heaven's fire entrusted to you. The angels bow in awe at this mystery, clay carrying flame, weakness carrying power, a vessel once broken, now radiant with light. So never minimize your role. The torch you carry is sacred, and its glow stretches further than your eyes can see. Lift it higher, knowing that every flicker becomes part of a greater blaze destined to ignite generations. The angels have seen something that the world has not yet witnessed. You have already been crowned. The crown was not placed on your head in front of an audience, nor was it crafted by human hands. It was given in the quiet chambers of heaven, where the King himself declared your worth. While people saw only your struggles, heaven saw your perseverance. And in secret, the crown was set upon you. This crown is unlike any earthly prize. It does not glitter with jewels mined from the earth, but with victories won in unseen battles. Every tear became a gem. Every act of obedience became a stone. Every hidden sacrifice became gold, melted into the band. The angels stood around as it was placed upon your head, astonished that such glory could belong to one who walked so often in silence. The scriptures remind us in the letter of James, chapter 2, verse 26, as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without deeds is dead. The angels saw your faith come alive through action. They knew your crown was not a reward for empty belief, but for faith that walked, endured, and obeyed. Every step proved your faith had breath, and every breath gave life to your testimony. Imagine a coronation that no crowd attends, yet the heavens themselves roar with approval. That is what happened. The angels did not need trumpets to understand the weight of the moment. They felt it in their wings, in the air of eternity. The crown was yours before anyone else could recognize it. Your earthly life may not yet reflect the majesty of that crown. You may still walk in ordinary clothes, sit in ordinary places, wrestle with ordinary struggles. Yet above it all, the unseen realm knows the truth. You have already been marked as royalty. The crown is not waiting for you at the end. It has already been given as a seal of who you are becoming. Think of a seed buried in soil. To those walking above, it looks like nothing, just dirt, silent and unmoving. But beneath the surface, Roots are stretching. Life is stirring. Destiny is unfolding. That seed carries the promise of a tree, even before it breaks the ground. In the same way, your crown is proof of what is already true in heaven, though the world has not yet seen it. The angels marvel at the patience of this process. They know what is hidden will one day be revealed. They know the crown that rests invisibly now will shine visibly later, and they bow their heads in awe, not at the crown itself, but at the courage of the one who wears it without needing applause. This secrecy is intentional. If the crown had been displayed too soon, pride might have stolen its shine. If it had been revealed in front of those who mocked you, they might have mistaken its source. But hidden in heaven's chamber, it remained pure. The angels understand the wisdom of this timing, and they are astonished at how faithfully you carry it. Unseen, yet unshaken. There will come a day when the hidden will be revealed. The angels know it. They have seen glimpses of that unveiling, but for now, they marvel at the beauty of secrecy. A crown placed in silence, glory carried quietly, honor woven into your spirit rather than paraded before men. Chosen one. Never mistake hiddenness for insignificance. The crown on your head is real. The angels saw it placed there, and they still whisper about it with reverence. The world may not yet recognize it, but heaven does, and that recognition is greater than any applause the earth could ever give. And let this truth settle in you. The hidden crown is not silence, it is strategy. Heaven knows the value of secrecy. A warrior does not reveal his weapon before the battle begins, and a king does not announce his coronation before the throne is secured. In the same way, your crown remains unseen to protect its purity and to prepare for its unveiling. The angels honor this wisdom. They marvel at how you carry yourself, not flaunting what heaven has given, but walking humbly as though nothing has changed. Yet they know everything has changed. They see the authority resting on you. They see the light shining from your head, though invisible to others, and they continue to bow, not because of the crown itself, but because of the one who crowned you. So when you feel hidden, remember, it is not denial. It is preservation. Heaven's timing is perfect. The crown is secure. The record is written. And the unveiling will come when the world least expects it. But when you are most ready to carry it well, the angels are still watching. Their awe has not faded, nor has their wonder dimmed. What began as a gasp at your decision has become an ongoing song of reverence. They remain amazed because your choice did not end. In a moment it continues to unfold, rippling across eternity like waves that never stop reaching the shore. They see you walking now, crowned though unseen, carrying light, though the world does not always recognize it. They know what lies ahead, and it is greater than you can imagine. For every trial you endured, there is glory prepared. For every loss you carried, there is restoration waiting. For every no whispered in secret, there is a resounding yes echoing through heaven's halls. The ancient words in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 1, remind us, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. The angels are part of that great company of witnesses. They are watching, not idly, but with reverence and expectation. Imagine a race where the crowd leans forward, holding its breath as the runner presses on. Every step matters. Every stride carries weight. That is how the angels observe you. They are not waiting to see if you will fail. They already know the victory has been secured. They watch because they marvel at how you continue to run, even after storms, even after wounds, even after nights of doubt. Your story is not over. To the angels, it is a living testimony, still being written. They saw your beginning, fragile and uncertain. They saw your battles, fierce and relentless. They saw your choice, shocking and beautiful. And now they see your continuation, steady and unwavering. Each step you take is another page, another line, another reason for them to remain in awe. Consider the way fire burns on a mountain at night. From the valley, it looks small, just a flicker, but from the sky, it blazes, lighting the horizon. That is how the angels see you, where others may notice only a small light. They see the blaze of obedience roaring in the darkness. This ongoing astonishment is not because they doubt you, it is because they revere the God who sustains you. They know your frame is dust. Your strength is limited. Your resources often thin. And yet, they watch as grace lifts you. Mercy carries you. And the Spirit within you keeps your flame alive. To them, it is a miracle greater than thunder or lightning, a fragile human holding steady under the weight of glory. The angels will not stop watching, because your story is not static. Every yes you give, every act of love, every prayer whispered into the silence adds another layer to their awe. They have seen kingdoms rise and fall, stars born and extinguished, seas roar and calm. Yet nothing compares to the sight of a chosen one persevering in faith. And so, they remain, still watching, still marveling, still whispering to one another, "This one is marked. This one is crowned. This one has changed history with a single choice. Chosen one." Never forget, you live before an audience far greater than the eyes of men. The angels are still watching. Heaven is still recording. And eternity is still echoing with the sound of your yes. And let me unfold this further. The angel's astonishment is not tied to one single chapter of your life. It grows with each step. They saw the valley where you almost gave up, and they were moved by your courage. They saw the mountain where you lifted your eyes and found strength you didn't know you had. They saw the river where you nearly drowned in sorrow, yet chose to rise again. Every season added to their wonder. They understand something you may forget. Your story is not fragile. It is eternal. Each moment of obedience is etched into heaven's timeline, never erased, never overlooked. To you, it may feel small, but to them it resounds like a drumbeat echoing through creation. This is why they keep watching, because your life continues to reveal God's glory in ways even they could not predict. And one day, when the veil lifts and what is hidden is fully revealed, you will see their astonishment with your own eyes. You will hear their voices, not in whispers, but in shouts, declaring how your yes shook the heavens and changed the earth. Chosen one. Now the message has reached its final note. But your journey is still unfolding. The angels have watched from the first step until this very moment, and they are not done. Heaven has recorded your yes, sealed your perseverance, and crowned you with glory that cannot be taken away. What you have just heard is not entertainment. It is a mirror of who you are becoming. And now, I invite you into a response, not by command, but by freedom. If this word has stirred something in you, press like, not for numbers, but as though you are lighting a lantern in the dark, letting others know there is a flame that still burns. If you share this message, think of it as planting a seed in another heart, a seed that may break chains you will never see but heaven surely will. When you subscribe, imagine stepping into a circle of fellow chosen ones, where every story adds strength to the next. And together, your lights form a constellation guiding many home. And if this word has touched you, leave a comment as if carving your name on the wall of a sacred temple, a testimony that you too stood and chose light. And if your heart feels joy in giving, consider donating as though you are pouring fresh water into a well. The well is already flowing, but your water deepens it, ensuring that thirsty souls will always find refreshment here. Nothing is forced. Nothing is demanded. It is an invitation into partnership with what heaven is already doing. Every act, whether a click, a share, a gift, a prayer, or a single comment, becomes part of the fragrance rising upward, pleasing to God and witnessed by the angels. So carry this truth with you. You are seen, you are chosen, and you are part of a story that still astonishes heaven, and the best is yet to come.